seen my video and to have me make a video specially to answer your question, send me an email to englishclubusa@yahoo.com, and you can visit my website at englishclubusa.com for a free life membership. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell. This is your class on 3 most important verbs in English language. It doesn't matter if you are a beginner, an intermediate, or an advanced student, or maybe you are an English teacher. In this class, you're in for a surprise. Let's begin, and let's look at the 3 most important verbs in English language. We will start first with the verb have, then we will go to the verb do, and then we will go to the verb be, since have is one of the easier verbs to understand and to learn. Well, when you look at all these 3 verbs, they all have something in common. What they have in common are the 2 same functions across the board. Each of these 3 verbs has 2 functions. One function is it serves as a part of a verb. And the second function is each individual verb has its own meaning. So let's first take a look at the part, how it works as being a part of a verb. So verb to have, first of all and most frequently, is used to show people a time reference. The verb to have means literally until now. So whenever you mix the verb have with another verb in a past perfect format, what you're telling me is that something has been happening until now. Let's look at the first example. In the first example, we have, I have studied English for many years, but I have never seen a better system until now. The until now part is the most important part of the sentence, because what controls the time reference is in fact the verb have. So when you say that a verb have is actually a part of a verb, you will ask me, where's the other part? Well, the other part is any other verb in the form of a past perfect. So in reality, have is not a verb. Have is a part of a verb called have studied. So when I say that I have studied English for many years, what you're telling me is that for many years in the past, until now, I have studied English. But I have never seen a better system until now. The second part is a conjunction but that connects 2 ideas to different ideas, to independent clauses, as we call them. And in this case, the verb is have seen, with the verb seen having a time reference until now. Let's look at the second example. In the second example, Juan has been doing video homework every day after he had finished watching video classes. What we're doing right now, we're having a video class. But Juan, after video class, goes to the website and watches video homework, so he can better understand exactly how the theory that we're doing here functions. So Juan has been doing video homework every day. That means that until the moment when he is finished, that means that he has been doing homework video every day until today, until now, as we're talking with you. After he had finished watching video classes. Well, notice that here you have a have in the third person because Juan is a he. It's a singular, so the verb have has changed into the has. Until now. The second case, it doesn't have a has. It has a have in the past tense. Well, that tells me, when I'm listening to this part of the sentence, that he is no longer, he is completely, 100% finished doing something. What did he finish doing? What he finished doing is watching a video class, which is what we're doing today. So that means that he had to finish video class in order to do video homework. So we just saw that you have two situations. In one case, you have a has been, where the verb have was used to indicate something until now. And the second situation was the verb had, which is exactly the same situation, which was a time reference that indicated that something is no more. That means it has been 100% finished. So this is the quality number one of the verb have. Well, verb have has another quality, which is very important. Many of you have heard English teachers talk about a possession. Does verb have anything to do with possession? Well, it's very easy. Let's take a look at a few examples and see how we're talking about possession. Or maybe we're not. Some of the examples would be Juan has a wonderful family. The question is, does Juan possess a wonderful family? Is that his possession? Well, for sure it is not, because there's a possibility that Juan does not have a wonderful family. Does that mean he does not have a possession? I don't think so. What Juan has when he has a wonderful family is that he has an experience that other people who do not have a wonderful family has. So Juan, when we say Juan has a wonderful family, what we're talking about is Juan's experience that he has that other people don't have. In the second case, Juan has fun with English now. Okay, what does it mean that Juan has fun? Well, fun is not something that you can possibly have as a possession, because possession is a physical thing. It is not something like fun. So when somebody says that, are you having fun? Are they talking about a possession? Well, for sure they're not. So when you say Juan has fun with English, what you're talking about is a positive experience. It is something that he's enjoying. So this is the case where it has nothing to do with possession, and it has all to do with experience. Let's look at example number 3. Juan had fruit for breakfast. In English, what's really interesting is anything that enters through the mouth is automatically have. So for example, you don't say, I'm going to smoke a cigarette. You say, I'm going to have a cigarette. Some people say that, can I have a kiss? What are you going to do? Are you going to possess a kiss if somebody wants to give you a kiss? Or are you talking about an experience of being kissed? So when you're talking about Juan had fruit for breakfast, you're not talking about that Juan had a possession of fruit. For sure, he didn't possess them. What he did was he enjoyed them. He had an experience that only fruit can give. In number 4, for example, we're talking about let's have a pizza. Well, are you going to possess a pizza? I hope not. It'll get cold. What you are talking about is, for sure, is an experience. So you can have a drink, you can enjoy the pizza, and you will have an amazing experience. My favorite? Pizza and beer. So, are you going to have a pizza? Are you going to keep it? Will it become your possession? Or you will simply have a wonderful experience? For sure, it will not be a possession. What about we will have new videos for you every weekday? How can we possibly have videos for you? Are they going to be possessions? Will you possess videos? Or will we possess videos? Well, I don't think we will possess anything. What we will do is we will have new experiences for you in the form of videos every single day of the week. So when you think about have, always think in two functions. Function number one, most important, is a time reference. Now, is what's happening is still happening, or it is happening no more. So you have two things. Later in classes, we will find out that English is binary. You will hear me say this over and over and over again, that if you want to be good in English, you have to think like a native speaker. And the only way to do this, you always have to find two things that complement each other. And in the case of have, it's the function of the verb. One part of the function is a time reference, and the other one is the experience. So now, let's go ahead and talk about verb to do. And later, at the end of this video, we will talk about verb to be. Okay, in this part of the video, we will discuss verb to do that has something in common with all three verbs. Just like verb to have, that we just finished talking about, has two functions, verb do has exactly same two functions as verb to have. Well, on the one hand, the verb to do functions as a part of the verb. And on the other hand, verb to do has its own personal meaning. We will talk about its meaning later on, and especially in a different video when we talk about two verbs that I hope that you will watch, that are do and make. We will discuss that. But for us today, what's really important is to understand how verb to do is used as an integral part of another verb. Every single verb in English language, has two parts. One part is verb to do, and the other part is the name of the action you're talking about. There's only one exception in English language, and thank God there's only one exception, because many teachers talk about lots of exceptions. Well, I don't like exceptions. I think the worst case scenario is to have one exception. Well, two maybe, but then there has to be a reason for that to be an exception, which is the case of verb to be. We will discuss verb to be later on, but one thing for sure, verb to be does not include verb do in it. So let's look at verb to do. Let's see how it works as part of every single verb in English language. And except verb to be, there are no exceptions. Well, first of all, verb to do we use when we're trying to deny something or state something in a negative term. The second part of verb to do is when we are trying to question something. So when we are saying something negative or denying it, or when we want to ask a question or question it, we need to use verb to do, whether you like it or not. English is made of that. So, Valerio's students do not learn like all other students. Why don't Valeria's students do not learn like all other students? Well, we will find out in just a second. But if we look over here, we will see that this sentence contains supposedly two verbs. One verb is a do, and the other verb is a learn. There is no way that you can possibly use a negative without verb to do. There aren't situations that you cannot. So, the verb actually is an entire verb. It's a negative format of a verb to learn. So, you will ask a question, but why don't Valeria's students learn like all the other students? Very easy. They learn to think like a native speaker. If you don't learn to think like a native speaker, then you have no choice. You must learn to repeat and to remember like all the other teachers ask you to do. Well, I don't know about you, but I have problems with memory. I cannot possibly remember everything there is to remember. So what I need is a system, an easy system that I can learn. And then all I have to do is put any verb that I want, and it will make perfect sense. So why don't Valerio students learn like all other teachers teach? That's because Valerio teaches his students to think like a native English speaker and not to repeat and to remember. We will later talk about the idea of nouns in a different video, which I hope you will have a chance to see. But a little surprise for all of you, including English teachers, or some of the English teachers, the word not to remember and the verb not to repeat, they are not verbs. We will talk about that in other videos. But just to give you a little view of what's coming, these guys are actually nouns. Well, let's look on the other side. In addition to functioning as part of the verb, verb do has its own personal meaning. The question is, what kind of meaning does it have? Well, let's take a look at example number 1. In example number 1, Valerio does sports. Valerio does sports. Do we know what kind of sports does he do? No. So anytime you want to describe an action that is not specific or an action that is general in nature, then automatically you cannot use the word make, and we will see that in a special video. But whenever you're talking about action that isn't specific, when audience have no idea as to what kind of sport it is, for example, then it has to be a word do. We will talk about the third person singular a little bit later in class, but then you see verb does also takes a special ending to indicate that we're talking about a single person, like he, like she, or like it. And as we English teachers say, it's a third person single case. Let's look at number 2, for example. Doctors do surgeries. Well, surgery is a surgery. You say it's a surgery. It's a specific surgery. I agree with you. When you have to cut out an appendix, for sure, it's a special, specific surgery. So why do you have to use do instead of make? Most teachers will say that surgery, you make a surgery. No, you definitely not make a surgery. And the reason why you don't make a surgery is because surgery is something that you can change. The minute you can change a result, there's no way you can make it. Then you must do it. That's why anytime you can change what you're doing is automatically a do. Let's look at third example. Restaurants do deliveries. Well, English teachers will now start laughing. I hope they don't fall off their chairs. And they say, but restaurants make deliveries. They don't do deliveries. Well, I'm going to be agreeing with them a little bit, but not very much. Why? Because we will discuss the difference between make and do in another video. But for now, let's see. The restaurants do deliveries. Is that something they do repeatedly as an activity? Or are you talking about a specific delivery? Well, if you are talking about a specific delivery, and I agree with English teachers in this case, one case, thank God, one case. Anytime when you repeat an activity, it cannot be a make. It has to be a do. So in reality, when you call a restaurant and you ask them, do you guys deliver what you're doing? You're asking about an activity that repeats itself. And if it repeats itself automatically, it's what they do. So make sure you go to the do and make videos, which is very, very important, because that particular distinction is an extremely important distinction in English language, because the words actually mean the same thing. But in order to understand the difference between do and make sure you go to a really nice video. I have no doubt you will enjoy it. Well, let's look at another example, okay? How verb do is an integral part of a verb. Valeria's students do not spend 10 years learning English. Well, first of all, there will be a very, very interesting video on the word spent. So whenever you see these little red stars that I put, they are the ones that you need to pay attention to, because there will be special videos that will help you understand really well certain aspects of English language. So, Valeria's students do not spend 10 years learning English. This is your negative, which is the word spend, but because it's a negative, you have to use the word do, whether you like it or not. Why is do in this case and does in another case? Well, it's very interesting, because does refers to only Valeria. And in this case, do refers to students. Case plural. Anytime when you have two or more, you have to use do in its original format instead of the does. And you say, well, okay, but why? Why do Valeria's students don't spend 10 years learning English? I have a simple question, simple answer. The reason is because they learn it in just a few months. And you ask me, is that possible? And the answer is yes. Not only is it possible, but that's what I've been doing for the last 8 years. So, when you watch these videos, you will understand exactly how English works in the mind of a native English speaker. So when you understand how English speakers think, you become an English speaker. Well, let's look at a third example. And this is the special example that takes into consideration the single person, a third single person. So, whenever you have a third person in a single format, which is a he, she, or it, then automatically the do changes into does. Valerio does not charge anything for his video classes. His classes, my classes, are absolutely free for anyone who watches YouTube. So this is the case of Valerio, who does not charge anything his video classes. And later you will be able to go down and click on the website that will say that where you can go directly to my website and find an organized way to watch all the YouTube videos, and in addition to that, do homework on each video that you will see on YouTube. Okay, well, we've just talked about verbs to have. And verbs to have has something to do with a time reference and experience. Verb to do, that has to do something with the action that is built into every single verb in English language. Now let's talk about verb to have. verb to be. Verb to be is a special verb. There will be a very special video on verb to be and everything that has to do with verb to be. And please watch that video because I think it doesn't matter. Even if you're an English teacher, I promise you, you will be shocked. So let's take a look how does verb to be function as two things. It has a split personality just like all three verbs. These three verbs make up English language, and especially verb to be. As part of the verb, how is verb to be could be part of a verb? Well, anytime you're talking about a continuous process, anytime, regardless of the time, whether it's a past, whether it's a present, or it's a future, the verb to be is an integral part of the process. You cannot have a process, positive or negative, without verb to be. So verb to be will be used in all of the three, in the past, present, and future. And each time shows me when the process takes place. For example, in the past, if we're talking about a single person, then I was, he was, she was. If I'm talking about a present, then he is, I am, and we are. And we're talking about a future. Future is a special video. To make a long story short, I had an English teacher and we talked about future, and I presented my theory on how to teach students future. She told me it was the most brilliant idea she has ever heard in her life. So I suggest you go and take a look at my video about the future. I have no doubt, even if you're an English teacher, you are in for a surprise. So, the question is, why is it such a big surprise? I'll tell you a secret. And the secret is, there are 7 levels of future. I'm sure you will enjoy the video. So let's look at the first example. How verb to be is used as part of a continuous process. EnglishClubUSA.com, which is my website where you can find all of the homework videos as well as YouTube videos, all organized in a nice way, is giving all its free members full and organized access to all free YouTube video classes. So this is a verb that has 2 parts. One part is a process, which is an ing, and the other part is a mandatory verb to be. So anytime you go to the English Club USA, you will automatically at that moment find all of the organized classes and homework for each class that you saw on YouTube. So this is why it is a present, because when you go at that time, it will be present for you. Let's take a look at another example. In the second case, Juan was thinking about moving to North America after learning English at English Club USA. So in this case, the verb is was thinking. Again, thinking is a process because it has an ing, and because it has an ing, you must use verb to be. But in what way? Is it a past, a present, or a future? Well, that tells me that thinking, the process, is in the past. And it tells me that Juan is one person. In the third case, some cities in the United States have been allowing people from other countries to live and work legally. This is a very interesting case because it has 2 things. Well, it has verb have that we spoke about before, that tells you that until now, which is your time reference. Then you have the verb be in the past perfect, which tells me there is a process coming. And then you have the ing. So what you have, you say, yeah, we have 3 verbs. No, we don't. We have 1 verb. And that verb has 3 things. Number 1, it tells me that this verb, this action, is happening until now. It tells me, the being, that this action started long time ago. And it tells me that there's a process that's happening. That means the process started long time ago, and until now, it's continued. So, some cities in USA have been allowing people from other countries to live and to work legally. Let's look at another example. Okay, we have just finished talking how verb to be works as part of the process. But then you're going to say, but wait a second, Valeria, you said it's a split personality verb just like all of the other ones, and it is. So in addition to being part of a verb, verb to be is also has its own individual meaning. So let's take a look quickly. There will be a special video, as I said at the beginning of the class, that I strongly suggest you talk about, but so I will summarize the video for you, just a little bit. So, the function of verb to be is to give a description to anything. Normally, it's a something specific or a certain quality that something specific has. For example, be, first of all, and most important, the only meaning of the verb to be, let's say it this way, is a fact. My name is Valeria. That means that I have a document that says my name on it. And that document is evidence, it's a fact of what my name is. So when you look at other ways, other facts, you can see that 2 plus 3 is 5. Well, everybody knows it's a fact. That's exactly how you can use the word is. Then today is a weekday. It's actually a Friday, but today is a weekday. Thank God it's Friday. That means tomorrow is Saturday. And yesterday was Thursday. They're all facts. They're not opinions. I was born in July. I have a document that says when I was born. Was means that the information is a fact. And then in English language you have the other side. Remember, I said in English language everything is binary. And if you don't think that English language is binary, then you don't speak like a native speaker. Well, the binary part is the description. So when you're not talking about facts, what are you talking about? You're talking about an opinion. So how can you possibly express or describe something without using verb to be? How can you express an opinion without using verb to be? Well, some English teachers say, I think today is Friday. Well, today is Friday. But if I say, I think today is Monday, well, you know for sure that Monday is not today. So how can I say, I think something is, if I know it's not? So this is why the words I think is not English. People don't use I think in this way. They use it in a different way. We will discuss it in the video special designed for it. But how do you express opinions instead of using the verb to be? You can. And these words function exactly just like verbs to be. And we will talk very briefly about it today. But then when you watch a video, you will be shocked, I promise. So to express an opinion, you have 2 choices. Remember, English is binary. One choice is, when you express an opinion, is to express a general description of something. And the way to do it is you use the words appear and seem. And what you can do, you can describe something the way it is in the form of an opinion by using a sensory words. How many senses do we have in our head? We have 5. We see things, we smell things, we taste, we hear, and we feel. So the words are look, smell, taste, sound, and feel. So, Valerio's video classes and video homeworks seem very useful. Are they useful? For some people, they're not. And for some people, they are. So it's not a fact that Valerio's video classes and video homeworks are useful. It's not a fact. I cannot use the verb to be in the form are. I cannot say that Valerio's video classes and video homeworks are useful. But what I can do, instead of the verb to be, I can put a verb to be in form of an opinion, and I can say that the classes seem very useful. When you watch a video, you'll understand very well what I'm talking about. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's class. I hope you understood that verb to be, verb to do, and verb to have are the basis of the English language. And without them, there is no English. So, I hope you enjoyed the class, and I hope to see you next time. To be in my video and to have me make a video specially to answer your question, send me an email to englishclubusa@yahoo.com, and you can visit my website at englishclubusa.com for a free life membership. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell.